Welcome to another episode of DilSe Stories. We have a very special guest, Dr. Srinivas Pai. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me on your channel, and nice seeing you after so many years. And
Yeah, the
I
pleasure
was
is all
happy to
mine.
see you without hair because it matches my lack of it.
Yeah. I always follow the footsteps of my seniors. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, please.
So, would you mind introducing yourself to our audience real quick?
Yeah, I am Dr. B. Srinivas Pai. I work as a surgeon at the Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara College of Medical Sciences. We are a university now, also called as Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara University. I head the Department of Surgery. I have been heading it from the last 3 years. I am in my fourth year now as a head of department. I was a HOD in the COVID. So I was a wartime HOD, let's say, because we had to do quick thinking during the COVID pandemic. So I was born in Karnataka, Udupi, and I grew up in Oman, where my father was a practicing doctor. So I went to school in Oman, and partially I went to school in Bishop Cotton, Bangalore. So I have two alma maters. One is the Indian School, Muscat, and the Bishop Cotton's Boys School in Bangalore. I did my MBBS from Kasturba Medical College, where in the course of my duties, I met the host here. And that's how we know each other. In 1991, we probably had a conversation when he was a fresher and I a senior. And I have known him ever since that time. So after my MBBS, I sort of gravitated towards surgery. I loved surgery as a student. I loved anatomy, and I loved surgery as a subject. So I had the fortune to get a surgery seat in KMC Manipal, and I did my MS there. After my MS, I decided to specialize to do MCH. So I joined as a senior resident in the Kidwa Institute of Oncology, Bangalore. I had a lot of training for 3 years, but I couldn't do the MCH for various reasons. So I came back to Manipal, joined Manipal, and I was a faculty there from 2001 to 2009. After that, I got a better opportunity, let's say. So I had to leave Manipal and then go to Dharwad, and I'm there ever since for the last 14 years. I'm married to Amita. She's a master's in social work, and we have two children. One is doing engineering. The other one is in 11th standard right now, also pursuing engineering. So there's nothing more to say. Hobbies I will not talk about.
Yeah, that we'll keep those
There
for
are too
other
many
episodes.
there are too many of them, which keeps me jumping from one hobby to the other.
Right. So, and thank you so much. And I'm Parag Bharadwaj. I'm a hospice and palliative medicine physician. And I went to the same med school like Dr. Pai mentioned, and I was his junior. Very inspiring senior during college days. So, wanted to have the opportunity to talk to you for the sake of our audience. I think a lot of folks are intrigued by the life of a surgeon. And that's what I want to focus on today. So, you grew up in Oman. I'm assuming it was a very peaceful, well paced time. And then you jump into medicine.
Yeah.
And so can you do a compare and contrast for as to what was the change in the pace in lifestyle? And over that, you actually chose surgery.
See, the Oman of I grew up was not the Oman of today. I think we went, my father went there in the 70s, early 70s. So unlike Dubai, which was okay developed at that time, not the Dubai we see today. Like I've been to Dubai in the 80s. There's no comparison. I mean, chalk and cheese. The Muscat compared to Dubai at that time was totally different. Only after the late 80s, by the time we were in med school, 90s, it started to boom, started to develop. The kids who are from Muscat listening in, I lived in the desert Oman, the undeveloped Muscat of no buildings and single floor houses, the villa Oman. And it was because of various reasons, safety issues, and the climate. We spend most of our times indoors. We spend our times in air-conditioned rooms. The classroom was air-conditioned. The car was air-conditioned. So we used to play outside in the winters, and football and cricket were our games at that time. But more than an hour, we could not because of the heat. Practical reasons. Then med school was freedom. Compared to what happened in Oman, that restricted environment, med school was freedom. So no monitoring. We were 17. I was 17 when I joined med school, because the age in India for med school is 17. Fortunately, along with me, my Oman classmate, Dr. Asif Sattar, we were from first standard classmate. So we were classmate till final MBBS and internship also together. So we had that support system of each other at that time. So that made our journey in medical school little easier compared to others. We had the support system, back each other out back up each other whenever the need arose. And med school was more enjoyable because it was a lot of, like I said, freedom. And Manipal has a beach, Malpe. So we love the sea. Like Oman, Muscat also has sea everywhere. So we love the sea. Whenever we get down, we go to the sea and sit there on that on the shore. So we feel better. So med school was stressful, but not that much. We helped each other out, and we enjoyed our MBBS. At the same time, we concentrated on the studies also. We balanced it. We first year, see, the earlier MBBS used to be 1.5 years, first MBBS. So when we were 17 and we jump into the current generation, when you are 17 and you jump into the first MBBS, which is only 1 year, it's very stressful for them, because you have to learn 100,000 new words: medial, lateral, oblique, transverse. Some people are knowing English, some people are not. But it's very stressful. Anatomy is very stressful. Biochemistry is the most stressful subject which I have encountered. Still, I find it very stressful. Whereas anatomy and physiology, we needed to understand it. So that was 1.5 years. It took 6 months for us to understand the gravity of the subject. Then the 1 year came, and we had found balance. Some of us did not find that balance. It took them 2 years. Some of them did not find that balance. It took them 3 years. The moment we found balance in anatomy and that first year, the year number 2, 3, 4 were in cruise control. So that was what I would share with you about the MBBS.
So actually, let me take a step back. So you mentioned your father was a physician. Was he a surgeon?
Yes. No, not a surgeon.
Okay,
My father is a dental practitioner.
So
MBBS.
is that why you went into was he the influence in terms of why you chose to go into medicine?
Yeah. My father is the singular reason why I chose to be a doctor. There was no force in my family, absolutely no force. I was not put into medical school out of force. Let me make it very clear. Yeah. So I always wanted to be a doctor. Maths never. I'm good at maths and physics and all those things. But seeing my father day in and out, I took it as a role model, and I decided to follow in his footsteps. Surgery I took because I did not like medicine that much, or obstetrics. I did think of being an obstetrician for a brief 1 or 2 months, and orthopedics also. But I thought I wanted to be an oncologist, surgical onco at that time. That's why I took up general surgery. If I hadn't decided to be decided on the MCH at that time, I would have done orthopedics. So I also was fascinated about anesthesia. These were the 3 I was not sure at that time, but then I decided to take up surgery.
So when during med school did you start getting an inkling in terms of, gravitating towards the surgical specialties?
I think it was about the second year itself when I
So
joined at
early on.
yeah, early on. When remember the day when the first few days of surgery was somebody used to come and never understood head and toe of what it was. Then one day a guy called Santosh Pai. I think he's your teacher also, no? Very
Yes.
impressive.
Very
So
impressive.
very impressive. If you have met him, he's very inspiring figure and role model. So he came and took a class on an ulcer, and he's so simple, so beautifully he taught it that I got naturally attracted towards that teaching. So I gravitated towards him in MBBS, and I used to meet him. We used to discuss, and he had great general knowledge also. And he was one guy who had outside the subject interest also in the extracurricular things. So looking at him, and of course the other person is Anand Rao, whose unit I was in. So seeing them, I thought the way they talked, dressed, and the way they spoke and way they interacted, I thought I got naturally inclined towards surgery. I got inclined towards the surgeon and then the surgery. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's a great point because surgeons do have a different personality.
Yep. They have an aura. That aura.
So how would you describe that aura or the personality that surgeons have?
It's that they say you're born a surgeon, right? You cannot be made one. So we cannot really describe it. It is there. They have that particular way. Not all the great ones have. Like yesterday, I had interacted with one of the greatest surgeons I ever met. Is Dr. C. Palini the I would say a pioneer in laparoscopic surgery, a world figure. I was full day interacting with him. So I'd asked him how, So his story is like our stories are zero compared to his. He was 21 years old when he decided to be a doctor. And he finished his 10th standard at the age of 21. And that is a story, The details is way beyond the scope of your interview today. But you look him up, see Palini Velu. So that aura is there. We cannot really describe. It is for
Yeah.
your feeling.
Would you say you have that aura?
You must ask my students. I cannot speak for
Very
myself.
diplomatic answer. I can see
You
it.
must ask.
Yeah, I can see it.
You must
Actually, I
ask.
saw it
Yeah.
when we were in college.
If
But
if somebody says they're inspired by me, I'm humbled, extremely humbled.
well, I did tell you. I mean, you were very inspiring when we were in
So
college.
I'm
So
humbled. I'm
so
humbled to
yeah,
hear
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
very much so. And I think the thing is the most people who have inspiring personalities probably uh, are not quite aware or acknowledge it. So I just want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the influence you had on
thank
me
you,
and
thank you.
perhaps others, in college.
Yeah,
The so so then you go into surgery, and do you remember the first patient that you actually performed surgery on?
yep. I
What
remember.
was the patient and what was
Uh,
the
it, it
situation?
was I did a debridement, which is removing dead soft tissue. So I was given a debridement to do in a lady, and I went and read extensively for it, and then I did it. But the incision I put was wrong, so I was sort of reprimanded. In those days, there was no student friendliness. There was only reprimand and scolding. Uh, those were the times, and we were much better at handling those things. Nowadays, we cannot do all such things. We have to guide. So nobody guided me. They said you do debridement, so I did it, and I put the incision of my liking. To what is it? Even today, if they do, there's no incision for a debridement. But that particular teacher of mine, he wanted in a particular way the debridement to be done. So the memory is very much there. What I learned from that is always ask before, when you're not knowing some surgery, don't be enthusiastic and rush into it. Always read for it from a manual and go and ask some senior. Ask for guidance. There's nothing wrong. Even nowadays, if I don't know, there's not even if you operate for 100 years, there'll be still some surgeries we will not knowing. You had to go and look up a manual or ask somebody who knows. So it was a debridement.
Got it. Yeah.
We all start with debridements. Nobody gives us gastrectomy on the first day.
Right. Usually we always remember the first encounters, early on in our career. So tell me a little bit about, there is always this intrigue about a surgeon's lifestyle, it's very hectic, very stressful. I mean, could you share from a surgeon's perspective as to the kind of life you lead, and what are your hours, and what does it take to be a surgeon on a daily basis?
The early life of a surgeon, not mild, maybe let's say when they start out, those hours are very hectic. As a resident, you are not going to eat, you're going to miss meals, you're going to eat a cold meal, you are going to sacrifice on sleep, family life, if you're married at that time, or you have no personal life if you're unmarried at that time. Absolutely no chance of that as a resident, 3 years. When you get into senior residency, you are building your career. So surgeons are like people who sacrifice their personal life, the senior surgeons. For some reason, I don't know why. Okay. I am all for personal life. I all tell my residents, enjoy your personal life. First, keep that as all equal priority. When you're a staff, keep that as equal priority. I told you, we all learn from our mistakes. So, wiser at this time. The hours are very hectic sometimes. If you're a busy surgeon, they're very hectic. You may miss meals. Family life suffers immensely.
So when you say
Family
busy
life
hours, how many hours in a day are we talking about? Sorry to interject.
Let's say we start our day at 8:30. At least now, the working hours. We have teaching programs. We have to teach the residents. We have to teach MBBS. Then if we are operating, we have long hours, which may go to 5 in the evening, sometimes 6 in the evening. And then you have to, again, counsel patients. So we may come home at 8. But nowadays, as you become senior, you have to rely on teamwork. See, one thing is there, how to avoid this working hours is to trust people. If you try to micromanage and do everything yourself, then you'll have stress and neglect your family life. If you have an excellent team, I have been blessed as in Dharwad, after I came here in Dharwad, partially in KMC also, that have excellent surgeons working for me and with me, including the residents. So they make my life job easier. So I don't suffer anymore from that long hours. But when I was alone here building the department along with my senior, we used to come home at 11 and 12, and family suffered immensely in that. These are the hectic hours. Most of the brunt of the surgeon is in the training period, and the first 5 years, the first 3 years of training, and the additional 2 years of senior residency. And when you're training yourself further, that is when the hours and personal life suffers. We divide our life, normal people, into 4 quarters: one for personal life, one for your hobbies, one for the family, and one for your work. And each other doesn't come into, and for sleeping. Okay. In surgical life, there is only 2 parts: personal life and sleeping, and work. And usually the work is the one that eats into the personal life and sleeping. We can't help it. If you don't spend time in the hospital, don't operate, you won't learn. The faster you achieve it, the faster you're going to have your personal life back.
Got it. And also, the thing is, you mentioned about the work aspect, but work is pretty stressful too. So when you're in the OR, when you're operating on a patient, I mean, you need to be very focused and ensure that everything goes smoothly. So can you tell us about like the stress level in the operating theater?
I hide it very well. Personally, myself, I listen to music when operating. I listen to Led Zeppelin. I listen to Kishore Kumar. I listen to Pink Floyd. I listen to all sorts of music. Okay. The modern day music doesn't interest me much, both Hindi and English ones. But but that is to hide my stress, actually. I hide my stress very well. I'm not saying this impossible not to have stress when operating. We do have. We have that stress of failure, not the fear. See, fear is a very wrong trait for a surgical team leader. We're not scared of bleeding or all those things. We're scared of, surgeons are scared of failing, that the surgery will be a failure and it will have a complication. That is the stress they have.
Got it. And
It
I
is
know,
stressful,
yeah, and surgeries can go on for very long hours. So
very long.
what is the longest surgery you've performed?
Well, 13 hours, not anymore. There are surgeries which I've done for 13 hours, 14 hours.
And
In
can you,
KMC,
yeah,
yeah.
can you share like what were those surgeries for?
Uh, the longest probably was a Whipple, where we never gave up and we operated 11 hours, 12 hours.
And Whipple, just for
Open
the audience,
surgery.
is a abdominal surgery.
Abdominal surgery, where there's a tumor in the pancreas and then we have to take it out. So in the beginning phase, when I was 5 years into my MS, we're doing it. It used to take 11 hours. Now, if you ask me to do it, it'll take about 5-6 hours, 7 hours at the max.
Great. And
Nowadays, I'm mentoring. I don't perform long surgeries. I step in when I am needed. I told you, I have an excellent team of young surgeons who are learning. So they call, if needed, only they call. But the longest as a assistant professor or associate, 11, 12 hours. There are surgeries where bleeding, where there is cirrhosis and there is person vomits blood. We have to devascularize the entire system. Those surgeries are not performed anymore because science has developed that we don't need those surgeries. Those have taken 14 hours, 15 hours.
yeah, I'm just curious to ask, have you ever met a surgery trainee where they're afraid of seeing blood?
Yes, I have. And I've counseled them. And unfortunately, they could not continue, unfortunately, because I have met surgical trainees who are colorblind. Not only I've met surgical trainees who have, because 25 years now, I have been in teaching and meeting people. I have met surgical trainees who are colorblind. They're doing well. No problem. I have met surgical trainees who are afraid of the blood. Unfortunately, they had to quit. They had to quit. I met surgical trainings who are getting stressed with at the first year itself, and they're not able to cope rather. Okay, they sort of quit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you help them? Because are they not able to cope with the pressure of being a surgeon, or are they not able to cope with, like you said, the fear of failure?
We are not able to pinpoint exactly the reason. Probably, see what happens. We are attracted to so many things. So probably in MBBS, we thought watching somebody, surgery is easy and medicine is easy. So they sign up without knowing what they signed up for. The long hours, the system. There's a horrible system, but it is the system which has a long hours working in the wards. Probably they looked at the romantic side of it. They looked at the glamour of the surgeon. But what they don't realize is the surgical career is a tip of the iceberg. What the glamour is only what is above the water. What the problems are below the water. So in the first year, they come to know, then whatever insecurities they had, they get triggered. Probably those guys who quit, they had problems before itself. The surgical stress triggered it and made them to leave. We do counsel them. We do counsel the candidates. We have a one-on-one. They don't want to go to a psychiatrist for some reason. They find it stigma. I think society should accept that mental illness is genuine, that one has to be honest about it and approach and take the necessary treatment. The parents They themselves, they find it stigma to go. If they were able to, I'm not saying continue as a surgeon, but I'm saying whatever stress you're having, you share it with the psychiatrist. I'm a surgeon. I do counsel the junior doctors, but my way of counseling will be totally different from a psychiatrist's perspective. I've been unsuccessful in counseling whoever is stressed and unsuccessful, I'll say. Honestly, I have to say it. Probably, yeah.
But I think you tried. I think it's very different from, like you
It
said,
is my
the
job.
time.
See,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, it is both my job as a HOD and as a senior surgeon to mentor junior surgeons. We won't live forever. See, death is inevitability for all of us. When it comes, we don't know. Therefore, we have to prepare the next generation of surgeons. That is how. So, normally what happens, earlier there are not so many seats. Let's be honest. Government of the day doubles, triples the seats. So people wouldn't have got in, get in. Wouldn't have got surgery, get in. So what happens? These people are the ones who, I'm not pointing out, but maybe the toppers also have the stress issues. We try. It is our job, both as a HOD and as a senior surgeon, to counsel them and try our level because of that stigma they want. And then they are supposed to be counseled by a psychiatrist. They don't do it. And then the seat is lost, the career is lost. Or they pass the MS because their theory is good. Our system is not practical system like American one. It's a British system where you have a degree, you can operate. Anybody with a degree, whether they know or know how to operate, they're going to do it. But they're found out in society later on. So they pass the theory practical exam, they're okay. Even if they have some disorder, it is okay. I read in the newspaper that the Supreme Court says that people with mental issues, stress issues, can do medicine. Do you think it is fair to the public? No.
Yeah, I think it's very different from, like you said, the times when we were training, and I'm glad that you're trying to assist them and help them. And again, it's very inspiring just to hear you after all these years. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing has changed. I think you've gotten even better. So very inspiring. I'm sure the audience would find the same. And I would love to have you back again to talk about how you are able to balance your work with some of the other activities that you do.
24 hours in a day. To borrow a dialogue from the villain of James Bond, the Gustavo Graves. I don't know. Can't recall the movie. He says you can sleep when you die. 24 hours is a lot. Lot of things can be done in 24 hours. You have to do it. That's how we balance. Yeah.
Truly said as like a surgeon.
Yeah.
So, and with that, I would like to conclude our interview, and request you to come again if that's a possibility. Thank you for sharing your time.
I hope it was not boring.
No, not at all. I found it very inspiring.
And for
Thank
what
you.
you said, that I got better position, and is always temporary. Whatever positions you hold is always temporary. If a person is given power, two ways. It only enhances what he was already. Yeah. If he was evil earlier, it becomes more evil. If he was kind and all, it becomes more kind. So thank you for having. Yeah. Thank you for having me, Parag. And nice to connect with you after so many years. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.